Welcome to enVisioning Success, the weekly podcast that's your prescription for business clarity. In today's episode, we dive deep into the world of avatars with your hosts, Laura DiBenedetto and Julia Becker Collins. Discover the power of defining your ideal clients, your avatars, and why clarity on this concept is a game changer for businesses. Learn how avatars differ from target markets and audiences and why it matters.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. We're excited to drop some knowledge on you. It's going to be a really great episode. My name is Laura DiBenedetto. I am host number 1. I'm here with Julia Becker Collins. She's host number 2.
Hey, yo.
So we are super excited to talk to you about avatars. You're probably thinking about the movie. We're not thinking about blue people right now.
Right.
That are 9 feet tall, although that was a good movie.
See, I didn't like that movie. That was.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's basically just blue Pocahontas, but you know,
it was a strange movie.
Indeed. It was a humdinger at the box office, though. But regardless,
there you go.
This isn't that. An avatar is a nice colloquial term for the people you sell to specifically. So you want to get really, really clear, and this episode aims to help you do that. So today's episode is all about introducing avatars, what they are, and the heartbeat of your business. As a reminder, of course, the show is sponsored lovingly by the nice people at Vision Advertising. That would be me and Julia, plus a handful of other awesome human beings. We bring this show to you every week so we can help you to expand your business, make a truckload of cash, and have fun while you do it.
There you go.
Right? Just beep, beep, beep.
Back up the Brinks truck.
Front door.
There you go.
Like the avalanche of cash. So anyway, we're super excited that you're here. I can't wait to talk about avatars. I was working till like too late o'clock last night on a proposal for one of our clients who wants to upgrade and really get in the weeds of new avatar stuff. And so I was geeking out. So this is a very appropriate timing for me. It's hot. It's hot.
There you go.
So Julia, in your words, what do you define as an avatar? And then I'll define it too.
Yeah, I usually call it ideal client profile, but avatar is an easy, fun way of saying it. Also, because the movie reference. Same thing, though. So if you've heard one, it means the same thing. An avatar is the ideal person that your business is selling to. It's not necessarily who your business is selling to right now, but it's who they could be selling to. I often tell people to think about, imagine in your brain the person that you love working with, the person that you love selling to, because not only do you make a lot of money and it's a high profit customer for you, they're emotionally a good person to work with. They don't emotionally drain you. And I usually tell some kind of story about, working with that Karen that you don't love working with, who texts you on a Saturday at 7 p.m. and wants 10 million things done. So it's not only you have a high profit margin in terms of the amount of money you're making, but it's also that they appreciate the work that you're doing. They know that you're an expert in your field, and they aren't annoying to work with.
Ooh, swish. Slam dunk. Yeah. So think of your avatar as the exact opposite of the client from hell.
Yes, right, exactly. And when we think about the avatar, we're thinking about, I like to think about it as like a cartoon character in my brain. We like to name them at Vision Advertising, Sue, Bob, Jody, Joy, Mike, whatever, just to give that person more characteristics that you can understand. And I'm a very visual learner. I know a lot of people are. And so it helps me to kind of put a little cartoon person in my brain that's like, oh, we're selling to Judy in Wisconsin, who is a farmer, who blah, blah, blah. You kind of dive into it like that.
I just legit Google the name of the person I've invented. Okay, so last night, small detour, you're going to enjoy this. I'm building the proposal last night. I'm looking up all these things, and I'm thinking about some of the demographics that are included in the avatar. What age are they? So I started Googling popular baby names and the year that I imagine they were born. And I'm like, yeah, Jennifer. I'm going to look up Jennifer, Massachusetts, 45. And then I'm like, that's the one. So
there you go.
Yep. Who knows? Maybe your face could be my avatar. Who knows?
That's terrifying. I mean, we are recording this right around Halloween, so
at least once a week we're doing it wrong.
that's very true. But that's also true in your business. If you're not laughing, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, pretty much. So Julia, totally made my day earlier when, we're on the same page about like, you know what? We're in a fun chapter of the business right now. We got a lot of cool stuff going on. So yeah, this podcast is one of them. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, the podcast is work, but it is a hell of a lot of fun because I basically get paid to be smart and screw off for like 2 hours when we batch record these. These are wicked fun, but it's supposed to be fun.
There you go.
If it's not fun, why are you doing it? So
exactly.
So let me add a little bit more of serious texture to this. So an avatar, yes, it's the opposite of your client from hell, but it's really quite simply, it's your dream client. It's the one that pays you the most, loves you the most, you have the most fun with. It's like it's the mostest.
The mostest?
Yeah, that's a technical term and you can use that at your discretion.
There you go.
So make sure royalties come to me. P.O. Box, blah, blah.
There you go.
So avatars are very useful because they help people to get very clear on the small segment of the population that you want to sell to. Now, if this is your first episode with us, saddle up. Here's an idea that might rock your world. Maybe not. It depends. You're not selling to everyone.
Correct. You do not want to be everything to everyone because then you are nothing to no one.
Oof, out of the park. Yep, absolutely.
Listen, you lined that right up for me. I'm just going to
teed it up, man. It was like T-ball.
Exactly.
Ping. So, you know what? Yes, yeah, I worship at that church. So you got to be really specific about who you want, because if you're not, you will get all the folks you don't want. And maybe they're not the client from hell, but maybe they're just not aligned and the work is just frustrating for you and for them. And, you're just having a hard time. You talk past each other, blah, blah, blah. It's so much easier, infinitely more profitable when you do pick your niche individual that you would like to sell to, and go after that person hard. Like, believe me, every successful business has an avatar profile or several. Even if they don't use the word avatar, they have some sort of version. It's like ideal customer profile or, customer persona or, avatar or etc. Like it could be, or target market, these are very important things, but there's actually a difference between an avatar, things like target market segments. And we really need to talk about those. So an avatar is something that takes into account demographics, psychographics, and target audience and market segment. It's like everything.
right.
Yes,
It's
should know
what you
target.
filter out at the bottom.
Oh, absolutely. It is your avatar design, ideal customer profile, persona, whatever you want to call it. It should be the most detailed, intimate understanding of your customer that you have anywhere.
Right.
So, Julia, why don't you explain for the nice people at home what a target market is, or a target audience versus
a target audience?
segment?
Sure. So in marketing, we talk about target audience in terms of who you're trying to reach with your marketing. So rather than doing that deep dive on, all the demographics for the avatar, we're thinking more like, okay, our target audience is 25-year-olds in Minnesota. And that's about as far as we would go down that pipeline. But it's also, people that make buying decisions. Like, we want to get in front of people that are buying certain things or people that are making decisions. It's further up the funnel, if you will, than the avatar.
Yep. So this is like the less detailed stuff. Target audiences will be generally limited to demographics, which, are a lot of the data points that can sometimes feel a little cold and unfriendly, but it's like, I'm targeting Black mothers in Detroit who make X amount and X amount. They're married with 3 kids and they have this for a job. Like those are a lot of demographics. Market segments are different. That really gets more into which area of the professional world people inhabit, and what role they have. So it could be like, if you're thinking like, if you sell into hospitals and you sell like medical devices or whatever, like there's the physicians, there's the specialists, there's the nurses, then there's the people who write checks and sit in offices all day. So you understand hospital. Okay. Is it also medical offices outside of hospitals? That's important to know. But what role are you selling to? So those are important things that you need to know. But beyond that, it's really critical to understand that your avatar is a real human being. And
Correct.
You're targeting essentially a blueprint of a human being, like a template, if you will, that has, demographical data. Yeah, you want to get the market segments. You want to get all those things. But you also need to know what they like, who they are as a person, what keeps them up at night, how they vote, what their values are, what makes them feel really good, how they make decisions. So those are what's called psychographics. These are the things that, think of psych for psychology. These are the things that really inform not just details about the person that almost rob them of their personhood, but these are the very things that define their personhood.
And when you think about kind of doing a deep dive on all of those areas, do you, how do you think about doing that to help figure out, like, how do you determine somebody's ideal client or their avatar when you have conversations with clients or prospective clients? Hi, I can't talk today. The yabba dabbas, correct. Also, the result of talking all day. You feel me? When you try to create those, you said you were doing it for a client last night. How do you go about it? How could somebody listening to this podcast go about it?
That's an awesome question. Thanks for teeing that one up.
Nope. Yeah.
That's what you're here for, man.
I am.
That's honestly, it's a really good question. And I get that one a lot. Figuring out who your avatar is from a psychographics perspective, even some of the demographic and market segment stuff, a lot of it will come about based on conversation. Sometimes it can be very difficult to do on your own. I have been at this for a staggeringly long time. I no longer need help. In fact, instead, I just need company and someone to hold my hand and hold my head up so I don't crash on the keyboard.
Hand you a hot cup of cocoa.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll make me go to sleep.
Nighttime. Sleepies.
Yeah. Bye. But so conversations are really, really good because it helps you to think about, different things. And usually the easiest place to start is thinking about the absolute best experiences you've had in business so far. You want to think about, wow, when was the time that I had the absolute best experience, like my favorite clients? Think about your top 3 and start looking for what they had in common. It could be, oh, well, they were all in et cetera industry. Okay. That's a really good market segment. Were they all around the same age? Were they all the same gender? Were they all the same, income bracket? Like what were those common denominators? Like really dig. And, you might be thinking, oh, I don't know. You do dig, right, and get really curious. And frankly, you got to be relentless with this kind of stuff. I don't know is not a suitable answer in this case. I don't know is a perfectly good answer in many cases. You can't not know here, so you just got to struggle through it. Then when it comes to the stuff of psychographics, well, this is where your relationship building with your clients and your customers is useful because you can reflect on the conversations you've had with them where you've gotten to know them and who they are as people. You can, be like, oh, you know what? I noticed that they all have an inclination to vote this way. Or I noticed that they all really care about this, and this, or they all really love to golf. That's interesting. Like, what are the common denominators that make up who they are as people? Hey, I noticed that they're all really outgoing and really bold personalities. Like that's one of the things that Julia and I noticed about our avatar for vision advertising. We do tend to attract people who have bold personalities. They're brave. They've been in entrepreneurship and business for a long time. And frankly, it's easy and fun for us because on the disc chart, I don't know if you're familiar with disc styles. At some point, we're going to get into that. It's DISC. Both Julia and I are very high D. D is the direct, very like in your face type of person. We don't mince words. Also, I'm not offended if someone's very direct with me. We love working with that personality type because we don't have to dig for the truth. We just get it. There's no big feelings to contend with. We can just do business and we can move along very efficiently and we can like make unbelievable progress together. So that's our favorite type of client. It's also we're their favorite type of provider. So it's not just what we enjoyed the most, it's also who enjoyed us the most.
Right.
So when you think about these things, you are looking for patterns. What are the patterns that you liked? What are the patterns that they liked? What are the replicable patterns? And what are the things that you don't think matter that actually may?
Right. It's things that you don't necessarily pay attention to, and then you realize that they're patterns, like you said about the golf. Or it could be that the clients you work best with and like to work best with you and you make the most money on all prefer to communicate by email instead of text messages. It could be something like that. It could be that, you know, they all have an interest in watching the stock market or something like that, right? There's lots of different things that can make somebody, you know, groups of people seem more similar. And as I always like to point out, that doesn't mean you can't sell to other people. You can absolutely sell to other people. We have fantastic clients at Vision Advertising that aren't necessarily 100% or even 75% of our avatar. But as I always try to remind people, you need to direct your marketing in a specific way so that you're speaking the language and you're talking about things that the ideal person that you want to be selling to and working with can see themselves in it and hear what they want to hear. So you're trying to attract the best version of that. And sometimes that's somebody who has 50%, and sometimes that's somebody who has 90% of your avatar.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. This reminds me of the metaphor I've been using lately of like the dartboard. If you're like me, I'm just excited to hit the damn thing.
Me too. I'm excited when I don't hurt anybody when I'm throwing the dart, including myself.
That one was implied, but I also share that goal.
Listen, I feel like if you know me, you know it's always a possibility that I'm going to get injured. So,
Facts.
You know, injury-free experience.
For those of you listening at home and tuning in, Julia is Humpty Dumpty. So there's that.
I get put back together again.
Yep. So we got a big old vat of super glue at the office. So yeah, you bring up some really important stuff. So if you think about like a dartboard, right? Just, you know, maybe archery is a better example. If you're aiming for like the middle of it, that's the dead center, right?
Yep.
And you want the dead center, you get the most points. Cool. That one's like 100% aligned. Will you be upset if you hit the dartboard and get like 90 points? No. So you're going to hit somewhere else on the dartboard. Maybe like you have 25 defining characteristics of who your avatar is, and you find someone, you guys jive, you hit it off, and they check 20 of the boxes. It's still a really good sale for you. And here's the thing. When you are carefully understanding who your avatar is, it informs your marketing, which is why we're talking about this. It shapes what you say, how you present to the world, the colors you use, the fonts you choose, where you put your marketing. It makes all of those decisions crystal clear. So that's why it's so important that we talk about this in detail. And this will be the theme for our month. So saddle up. It's going to be good. But it informs all of those things. And when you target the center, you will absolutely pick up people who are in the outer rings of the dartboard, the archery board, whatever board that has rings on it. Like you're gonna get people who are not 100% aligned, and that's okay. You need to decide when too many variations is too much for you. So for us, I don't want to work with someone who is probably like 90% not aligned.
Right.
That doesn't sound fun to me. And to be honest with you, neither do you.
Right. It's not, and that's one of the things that I keep trying to stress to people, to clients, to potential clients, is it has to work both ways. It's a two-way street. You have to want to work with me. You have to be excited about my personality and what I bring to the table. You have to be excited about how I run the team at Vision Advertising. You have to like the people. You don't need to be best friends with them, but you have to not cringe every time you get an email from us, right? You have to respect the work what we do. And we, on the other hand, it works out much better for us when we like our clients. And it doesn't have to be, again, I don't need to be best friends with you. We don't need to go out for cocktails, even though that is a nice benefit, I will say.
It is fun.
Everything's better with some whiskey. So, but I do want, I have plenty of clients where they send me an email. I'm just like, oh, it is. I love hearing from him, even if it's constructive feedback, right? It's just like nothing is ever taken personally. They're so professional and lovely. They know we're good at our jobs and we'll fix things if things go sideways. They own up when they make a mistake. Like it needs to be a two-way street.
Well, right. And what you're defining, I mean, you're telling people a lot of what our avatar looks like. And it's a person who is trusting, wants to set it and forget it, know that it's being done well, willing to invest in the relationship. Like we're very, very particular about our avatar. And, like once upon a time when I started this company 25 years ago, I was excited to work with anybody and everybody.
Right.
But then the more your business grows up, the more you grow up as a person, the less you want to do that, work with anybody and everybody, because it becomes a little stressful and you don't have a consistent cadence to your work or your life. And the more specific we are, the more of a consistent cadence we have, it's easier for our staff to do their jobs because they have fairly consistent expectations. And it's easier for us to have, ease to the work that we do, and it becomes more pleasurable. And I think that, we have a lot to learn from the Europeans in this regard. Work does not have to be a damn slog. It can actually be pleasurable. And the whole avatar stuff, people are like, oh, well, you're going to say no to people. Correct. Also, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Don't worry. There's plenty of fish in the sea. We need to teach you how to fish, which we'll get into next week.
Yep. And I will say, just to kind of put a bow on this, people want to be told if they're not the correct fit for you. And it actually builds trust when you do that.
Absolutely. And if they're not going to be a client for you, you might refer to them. I mean, there's so much beauty in the word no. There's so much beauty in clarity. And when you arrive at a certain place in your business of maturity where you're not the brand new startup like I was once upon a time, where you're like, please give me money, anybody. Like, you just kind of grow up. The way you wish to exist in the world is a little different. So this is putting a bow on it. Next week, we're going to be talking about beyond demographics and crafting the multidimensional avatars. We're going to get into a lot more details about psychographics. So make sure you tune in for that one. Again, this show is lovingly sponsored by Vision Advertising. Check us out at vision-advertising.com. I haven't said this before because I'm new to podcasting and I suck, but please smash that like and subscribe button. Ding, ding. I finally said it. Yay.
Good. I'm glad, because I kept thinking we needed to say it.
Yeah. You were like, are you going to say it? Are you going to say it?
What's happening? What are we doing? Are we not saying
Please
that?
reward me with the like and the subscribe. It really helps. I did the
And
thing.
if you want to leave a review on your podcast provider, if it's Apple Podcasts, that I believe is the one that has the most room for reviews, that also helps more people find the show.
Yeah, that would be really great. Yeah, and this is a free show, and anything we can do to make sure that it gets out to people would be great. So thank you for that. Tune in next week. Again, I am joined by the lovely and talented Julia Becker Collins, and I am Laura DiBenedetto. Have a
See
great
you next
week.
week.